I know Western Europe is messed up, but Eastern Europe is a whole other level. And then it was like, no, you're lying. These people have been paid 200,000 euros to go fight for Russia. Like, okay, that's why I think we need to decolonize the mind. You think Putin would pay Africans $200,000, 200,000 euros to go fight Ukraine? Iko Nini.
IKONINI.
Episode 467. Tukisema like, subscribe, hit the notification button, tell a friend to tell a friend. Na leo tukuna raya isiyo ya kawaida inaitwa Muki Garang. Of course watu sikizaga Iko Nini, you know about this dude. Nishapatiaga a lot of stories about this guy. Tumeona life together. After kujuana when we were still the youth, man. We are still part of the youth. Nakumbuka like back in the days we'd be there listening to Kibaki talking about the youth, and we like, he's talking about us.
Yeah. Yeah, we just didn't know that whatever he talked about would be within our economic lifetime. You know, some we've realized, some we haven't. But yes, during our youth, you miss your 20s?
Yeah, I miss them. Like a lot of bullshit that I did. I feel like I used to spend more time, more money in my 20s than I do right now that I have a family. And I was reckless with money and careless, and you know, like I'd do stuff that right now I just look back and I'm like, this is some bullshit. Like live solo while paying rent of up to 45,000 shillings. Like why? Why?
Big ass TV.
No, the big ass TV, that one I'll never regret. So I know this
Premium
alone.
DSTV.
Yeah.
All right.
DSTV, I had that DSTV with what is it called? With the one that you can record.
Right.
Yeah. So all that. So looking back, I'm like, could I have been more careful with money?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I always preach about is people just being careful with their money and not overspending.
Right.
Living in these two very expensive houses, because like, you know, Nairobi, for example, there's a house for you somewhere.
Okay.
And you get that? What I mean? Like, you can go to the so-called affluent neighborhoods and pay some ridiculous rent, or you can downgrade kidogo and at least be able to survive in Nairobi, because Nairobi ni shamba la mawe.
True that. And in hindsight, I'd say also in my 20s, what I miss most, or right now, what I regret is just the time. Partying and, you know, partying and just thinking
and bullshit.
Party and bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, more than the money, it's just the time. I can't get that back. The money you can get back.
Yeah, the money you can get.
But the time, man. So
I remember, I don't know who I was talking to, and I was telling them that, you know, right now I'm closer to 90 than 0. Okay, not 90. I was telling them I'm closer. I feel like I'm closer to death than the start of life. You know, where you don't know when you'll go, but you know, like reaching 90 is a privilege. You know, it's a privilege that many people don't get to do. So I don't know if I'm halfway. I don't know if hopefully I'm not 3/4 way. Because you know, 60 is also a milestone.
Yeah,
so it's one of those things that you don't think about. You just,
now that you mentioned that, I recall my first time I was on Iko Nini, and you asked me if I would want to leave. I'm paraphrasing here, so it might not be accurate, but the context was, would I want to leave to beyond 100 years or something like that?
Yeah.
I'll tell you for a fact that right now, I didn't have an answer then, but I have an answer now. And let me tell you something. In this Middle Ages that we are in, personally, I wouldn't want to, because I just got hit by a cold and it feels like a truck ran over me. My body is sore, man, staggering while going to the gents, you know, just because of Ukonahoma, you know. So you can imagine now, you not being able to, you know, pardon my Japanese, not being able to wipe your ass.
Yeah, and
I wouldn't want to see that, but I would also want to just, you know, have like maybe, you know, like some robust, happy, healthy.
I think the problem is life is all about our decisions. Yes.
Yeah.
So we've come to understand. I always use this one example that I think I was hearing some podcaster saying, I think he had a scientist on, and the scientist was saying the way sugar is as dangerous, if not more dangerous than tobacco.
Yeah.
But you see, we've come and normalized sugar. And the worst thing about sugar is we don't just get it through the foods that we think we get it through. So we'll think about sodas,
Yeah.
we'll think about cakes, we'll think about, but now when you look at it,
Yeah.
and you find out that every time you're eating ugali, you're eating sugar. Every time you're eating rice,
Chapati.
you're eating sugar, chapati,
All
sugar.
right.
And these foods are really hard to leave behind. And apart from that, I heard that every time you eat these sugars, your body releases something called glycogen,
All right.
if I'm not wrong. And this glycogen,
Yeah.
it fastens your aging. That's why I don't know if you've seen, like, sometimes you're looking at some Hollywood person and you're told this person is this years old and they don't look that age.
Yeah.
And then you look at an African of the same age and they look much, much older. And you're there wondering, the African is much more active, it's much more what. But you remember, our staple food is ugali. Apart from that, also our meals, we believe in a very big ugali and very little protein. While scientifically it's supposed to be a lot of protein and very little ugali. You're supposed to have like a plate full of nyama, like ugali kidogo kakuchezea tu kale unachezea. But now who's ready to make that decision of, because I want to live long, let me now stop ugali, chapati, rice. It's a very hard decision to make.
I'm no scientist, neither am I a nutritionist.
Yeah.
But I would love the foundation to call it CAP.
Yes.
Because, you look at our folks, the people who brought us into this world, or their folks, they grew up on organic foods.
Yeah.
And that big ugali you're talking about was served with a very tiny portion of omena or a very tiny portion of fish. And, maybe just a pinch of veggies, if at all. And they reigned the number of years. Like
a few of them on dig. Do you know how many died? And they were like, Manochera, huyu mtu unajua amekuwa cast. Kuna vile aliona nyanya yake akivaa suruali. Halafu now kumbe someone just has diabetes. We have to understand also that for a very long time we didn't know about these lifestyle conditions. So these lifestyle conditions would be someone has diabetes. Alafu, you remember, like, the way if you're sick in a low house, what's going to happen? They're going to bring you mostly sodas. You remember that shit? Like, if you're sick there.
Lucozade.
Yeah, Lucozade. You go like, we have an appetite. Mpatie Fanta. Fanta kanaekwa. Osha nayo mdomo. So even now, let's say you have diabetes and no one knows you have diabetes. They bring soda for you. After a few days, you're gone. Because now the sugar is wild. So I think there's something to be said about, yes, we love our culture. And we want to maintain it as much as possible. But now I think with the more knowledge that we have of scientific stuff, the more we can try and control a few things. It's very hard. I won't lie to you. Like, you had my daughter was telling you the way I'm normally pricking my fingers just to check how much
your
the blood
levels.
sugar, glucose levels. And I've noticed, like, ugali, rice, chapati, high. Yeah, it spikes. Yeah, so I don't know, man. And
don't you? Wouldn't you attribute that to the changes of food production? That's what I'm saying. The folks, our folks, and them, they had a better chance because it was all organic. Right now, the
Kuon Bell is better than
food market has been infiltrated with food that's been produced probably synthetically. You understand? So times have changed.
Yes, Arega is better
It's
than
much better. Yeah,
Jimby, better than Jogo,
exactly.
better than all that.
And then now, what? They never used fertilizers because unaweza kuwa ula skuma imepakuliwa kwa hoteli pale, skuma ya grill. And you have it with some fish and you have it with some ugali. But then, you're going to hit that gents for a couple of times because you ask yourself, you're supposed to put some grill in your tummy, right? But then, skuma, it just took a week to grow.
Yeah,
You see that?
Yes, there's that.
So the fertilizers, those guys never had those.
Yeah, because for anyone who does not know a rega means the one that's been taken to the portion mill.
The portion mill.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's another thing. Like even when Ruto was coming into power, one of the things that he was really pushing was fertilizer.
Yeah.
But I don't know about other communities, but in the Luo community, it's really hard to get people using fertilizer unless it's literally feces from cows. Otherwise, people just let nature do its thing. And I think that's the reason why it keeps it a little bit healthy, especially watu wa Ocha, because they'll never buy packed, what is it called? Packed
The packed
unga.
maize flour.
Yes, so
Maize
it's
flour.
inatoka kwa garden, inadryiwa na sun, sindio?
Yes.
After it's dried with the sun, it's taken to a rega.
Right.
After a rega, it's straight to the store.
Yeah, but you know now what nullifies that is the seed has been designed. There's different types of seed for different types of soil.
Yes.
So it's not that original organic seed you know.
Yeah.
You know? So that also contributes to what people are eating and how it's affecting them. Because where is this seed from? Who designed it? This seed can grow in dry areas. This seed can grow in semi-arid areas, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of changes in terms of what we are ingesting, and we have no control over it.
Yeah.
You may have the knowledge, and maybe you can control it just for a bit. So
yeah, I think with the knowledge, it's just to control a few things, which are really hard.
Yeah.
It's control that, buying that bread, buying those juices, because even natural juices are not that good, yes? But at least they're better. But, like buying the Minute Maids of this world and the sodas of this world. Like, at least the good thing is right now you have this zero sugar stuff. And I've tested them. They're actually zero sugar.
You'd say?
Yeah. They don't taste well. They taste like... The only zero sugar thing that I've tasted that I found to be interesting was Monster. Monster Zero is actually really sweet. But I was there like, I need to test my blood sugar. And I didn't do anything to my blood sugar.
Word.
Yeah. So that was interesting to find out. But now...
You actually dropped a name brand.
Yeah, we can do that. Like the only time we do it when we want to.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's that. But yeah, healthy eating. You're one of the people who I find like sometimes I tell my wife that if there's one dude who knows how to lose weight, it's this Muke dude. This dude decides once in a while to just starve himself like 72 hours just surviving on water.
Yeah.
So like why go through all that shit then end up being indisciplined like me?
All right.
Why do you do that?
Well, getting into the Middle Ages, sometimes you actually get challenges. And these challenges come in form of how your body looks like.
Yeah.
So when you gain weight, there are other parts of your body that are working hard to sustain this weight that you have. So for example, if you're, a certain weight that exceeds the recommendations of, say, your BMI, that could mean like maybe your heart is working harder than it should. So maybe you need to lose some weight so that when your heart pumps blood, it's able to flow properly for your recommended body weight. So there are some things that that's self-explanatory. Even doesn't need a doctor to, like if you're, and this is no offense to big or chubby people, it's just I think your heart works much more when you're bigger. So for me, I've had my fluctuations, and there's a time I got so big, based on various factors, and I wanted to get back into shape, and so thank God, thank the information age with the internet and all the resources that are out there. And so I came across fasting, for example.
Yeah.
And I embraced it. I embraced it wholeheartedly. And at that time, I was also involved in physical activity, gymming, and weights and cardio.
Cardio.
So, yeah.
Cardio through sex.
Weights and cardio in the gym.
Yeah.
So I came to learn, and there are some challenging aspects to it that I found quite interesting. That's for me. I do not try this at home. That when you're fasting, you you actually have much more energy when you go to the gym. And so because I had a target weight that I wanted to attain, so I could hit 24 hours. It was water fasting, not dry fast. 24 hours just with water. And I could go to the gym and do my weights and do my cardio, come back and chill. And when I feel like I'm getting a bit overwhelmed, I'd always just grab that, just a bit of salt and put it in water. Not regular salt. Himalayan salt.
Himalaya.
And then, it would just get me balanced, And I didn't have like a glucose monitor like you. But my target would now be like 48 hours. Can I still go to the gym and do it? And I'll do it. And taking breaks in between. So
I think with that, like if you're starving yourself, automatically
fasting.
Yes, if you're fasting, that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be, and it doesn't have to be back to back. It could be like 24 hours today, 48 hours after a day. But then it got to a level where now I could do 72 hours.
Okay.
And
that shit slims you, burns all this.
I lost
visceral fat.
Yes, I lost.
Because also the Kitambi went, huh?
Yeah, I lost what? You won't believe this. I lost 20 kgs in 6 weeks. From 90.
Yeah. To 70.
From 96
to 76.
to 76. I did it. It's possible. I did. You saw it.
Yeah,
that's why dude.
Yeah.
But sustaining that, and probably I should have done it gradually. You see that? But
the funny thing is, I think with because now the older you get, the more you learn about these things.
Yeah.
The funny thing with it is, if you are to do it again, now there'd be other ways to try, and because it's all about, all this is blood sugar. Remember what I was telling you? So all this is blood sugar. And you'll find that naturally there are foods that we love that don't have sugar. So let's say you've shrunk to 76. And every time you have that urge for ugali, you grab the piece of meat more than the ugali, and you maintain small ugali. You'll end up still maintaining that weight more than someone who goes for back to the ugali and the rice and the chapati, because we love that and it's part of our culture and what. Or if not, corn bell.
Right.
I want to test out corn bell and see what it does to blood sugar. I'm sure it does very little to blood sugar.
Corn bell, that would be millet flour.
Yeah, millet flour. Yeah. Unga wa wimbi.
Unga wa wimbi, yes.
Yeah, where you eat the ugali. The ugali is still...
The brown one.
Yes, it's still like... what's it called? It's still like...
elastic.
Yeah, it's still elastic. And this is the funny thing. We used to look at that as kids and think this is thug rock. Right now, when you're older, you're like, nilete unga wa wimbi Nicole. So I need to test that out.
I don't like the taste though, but
yeah.
So
I need to test it out because I used to go to like Ocha and it was there being cooked, and I don't mind it. Actually, don't mind it.
So what's gotten to you with this whole Zen aspect of things?
It's just one of those things where, like, I have this kitambi and mine is because of indiscipline. Like, I always look for a reason not to follow by strict rules. So, like last week, the fact that I was sick last week, I didn't follow any diet.
Right.
But when I'm not sick, I'll follow. Right now, also, another thing that's pissing me off is avocados have gone off season.
Right.
So avocados give you fat, and that fat is, they say that if you're eating even bread, and you eat that bread with healthy fats, that means, let's say we both take 2 slices of bread.
Yeah.
You take 2 slices with an avocado in between. I just take the 2 slices. My 2 slices are going to spike my blood. Your 2 slices, because there's avocado, they won't spike your blood. You see, so now, right now, avocado is off season.
Right.
So now I have no lunch. I have no... So I just end up going to the same unhealthy bullshit.
So you have to find an alternative.
Yes, so, but this is supposed to be the week where I'm meeting the gym. There's a gym where I go to. So the nutrition, when they give me the schedule, like what I can do, that's when I want to go back to it like 100% and try and see how far I can take it. But my ultimate dream would be to do your intermittent fasting, that level.
Yeah.
Because that level, first of all, I hear, for someone like me who does a podcast, I can try and imagine the level of clarity. Because when you have no sugar in your brain, there's a lot of clarity, like you see stuff clearly, kabisa. And then apart from that, I'll just want to, like now, because another thing that I learned is if you like intermittent fast past 18 hours, you start burning.
Yeah.
That it's called the visceral fat.
Yes.
You start burning it. So that's why, like, you, by the time it was 24 hours, that fat was on fire. Like, it's now being used.
Yeah.
Because if it's 48 hours, that's why you look at, I think I was looking at some girl online, and she was talking of doing the same 72 hours. She was a wasp. Like, you know, like, because it just burns all that fat.
The motivation I had for that was, so every time I'm going to the gym and I don't have food in my system, the first thing I get to do, and I'm not, this is just me, was what am I going to weigh when I step on that scale? And even if it was 0.5 kg less, that was enough firepower to attack the treadmill, to do the weights. And guess what? When you're in the gym, you know, the whole dopamine and the excitement, the adrenaline, you know, it keeps you going. And so hunger is just but distraction. So when you have a goal, it's much easier. I did 72 hours, and you know that level of ketosis, like when you hit the gens to spend a penny, like the Englishmen do say, you can actually see fat when you're pissing, because your pee is dark. That's dart that's coming off you. That dark urine, that's fat.
That's after how many hours?
That's around 36 hours. You'll see it. You'll see fat.
Damn.
You'll see that dart coming off your body. Man.
After 36 hours, what would you eat?
After 36 hours, like if I'm doing a 72, I have to clock the whole 72. But that's what we are forgetting to say is this thing has to start gradually. So if it's going to be like, it's going to 8 or 12 or, you know, until you get to a level where I think
a lot of us do 8. See, I remember someone said we all do 8. That's why in the morning you call it breakfast. You're breaking the fast.
Or you can do 12 on Monday, 12 on Wednesday, 12 on Friday. But I got so confident to a level whereby I could watch Andrew Tate say that in a week he doesn't eat 3 times, and I'd be like, I'm in that circle. So you know, like here we are, grown old men talking about the foods they're supposed to eat.
It's is
this a kind of fear about growing old or something?
No. It's also because of, you see, the same thing you've talked about ketosis. Like I've had this back pain problem for some time. And I've been thinking, I've tried everything. I've tried lifting weights. Like I lifted weights last week, and I think I aggravated my back. Yes. I'm still, of course, going to continue. I've tried physiotherapy. I've tried massages. I've tried everything. But if there's one thing that I keep hearing is, if you want to cure inflammation, you need to starve your body and make your body attack any unhealthy cells. Yes. So I'm thinking back pain is just unhealthy cells, you know. So that's the reason why I've been thinking about this. Maybe it's time to now try that. Do 24 hours, just pure water, 24 hours. Then see what happens. If I can do 24 hours today and be like, you know what, I'm going to skip. Maybe this is a Thursday. I'm not eating the whole of Thursday. And then I decide, okay, I see that worked. Then come from Thursday and be like, you know what, this is... let me skip, let me eat on Friday, then Saturday, 24 hours till Sunday, and just be skipping one day. And then from that, I can change and be like, you know what, let me go 48 hours and then see how much. And then after I reach the level that I want, now I know all this came courtesy of sugar spikes. You know, didn't come because of eating. It came because of the sugar spikes. You know, every time your sugar spikes, you end up storing whatever you've eaten as fat. So now it's controlling the sugar spikes. So now I can go back to a place where I'm just eating, of course controlling how much I eat, and exercising, and now I'm good because I've reached the weight that I wanted. Because for me, I was given, I think my target weight is that 76.
So because we are the same height. And also I forget, let me not forget to add that when you're fasting and you're hitting the gym and you're worried that you've not eaten, your body resorts to using the fat as energy.
Yes, energy. Yes.
You see that. Oh, and I also had you talk about massage. You remember there's a birthday of yours I bought you a massage.
Yeah, I remember.
Right.
Here in South Bay,
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that shit. Wanted you were thinking I wanted a happy ending. The days,
Right.
yeah, the youthful days.
Youthful days, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So let's also talk about a few things that have happened. I don't know if you followed up on the Boniface Mwangi story.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. I've seen clips. Bonnie, being escorted by security personnel or friends. People talking about him having been deported from the neighboring country of Tanzania, and alleged claims of torture. I don't know how factual it is. You see, what we read and what it's hard when you're presented with information because you're not actually there to ascertain the validity. So I heard about what happened to
because I remember there's a country that you visited that I've never visited, and I was telling people that when I got an opportunity to go there, I refused. But before I refused, I called Bonnie and asked Bonnie, like, hey, what do you think? I know you criticize this president, but would you go there? I've just gotten an invite. And the way he is, that dude calls himself Team Courage. I was like, hey, just go. So now it was Rwanda. Just go. Kagame doesn't mind. You can just go. And I thought about it. I was like, hell no. So I ended up I'm not going. But I think you'd also told me a story of this a friend of yours who went to Rwanda and was a little bit scared.
Yeah. Okay. If I could, my recollection, when I was there, it's a very calm part of the city of Kigali, and I don't know if it's the presidential guard. They usually have this march, and they march like direct, or they have a part that's dedicated, and it's a certain that this is the course of our march, our parade, or guard of honor. I don't know what they call it. And my friend was standing making a call. He was there just trying to sort out his stuff. And he was on the path of this
presidential guard
that was marching, and they don't. It's a presidential guard. They're not going to make a detour because you're trying to set up an OnlyFans page, So this guy, he's unaware. He's not Rwandese. Yeah, he's Kenyan, so he's on the phone. They're on the phone. And then before you know it, they had to sort him out, so to clear the path. I'd say it's more or less their actions are more or less similar to the king. Is it the King's Guard at Buckingham Palace, where people usually walk up to these folks and ridicule or mock them, but when they respond, they can be quite lethal in terms of how they respond. So I don't know if that describes what is actually. What is determined as human rights?
Yeah, no, I don't think that's it. But it just shows you how much a country like Rwanda is those fuck around and find out sort of countries. And it's the same thing.
He was on the line of the. So if I think he was unaware, so he should have moved.
Yeah,
but it was too late. Yeah, after
So now they're whooping your ass as a lesson, eh?
Yeah, not so that it's baptism by fire. So next time you see us, you stay out of the way, stay on your lane, bro.
Yeah. I think that's the same thing that's happening with TZ. And with TZ, I find it like we were talking with RAPCHA and Ian. We were saying the way it's messed up being tortured by some dude speaking fluent Swahili. Yeah. So what pliers is?
In Swahili.
Yeah.
No.
Koleo.
It's
Koleo. Yes, but now you see them, they say Koreo. Leta Koreo. Yeah. I love like your pubic hair ni mafuzi. Mchane mafuzi. Hey, you're there so it's crazy that what we've come to
Channel
learn
fully.
is TZ is more dangerous than even Uganda. You know, like those CCM.
The
Chama cha
perception we
Mapinduzi.
have of Tanzania is this peaceful, law abiding, all the quiet,
Yeah, it comes
honest.
with a price. It comes at a price of shut the fuck up. So I think that's the reason why they end up as citizens just shutting the fuck up, and it's sad. It's sad what happened to Boni, and of course it's sad that yeah. So now one of the biggest headlines last week was Ngugi wa Thiong'o, and he died. Yes, and I remember there's this photo of yours that you posted straight after. It was colonialism is not satisfied merely with holding people in its grip and emptying the native's brain of all form and content by a kind of perverted logic. It turns to the past of the oppressed people and distorts, disfigures, and destroys it. Then that was from Decolonizing the Mind,
Yeah.
by Ngugi wa Thiong'o.
Yeah.
So meeting the guy, how was he?
I can tell you one thing. When I had the privilege of meeting Ngugi wa Thiong'o at a publisher's seminar here in Nairobi.
Yes.
And for me, I'd say meeting Ngugi was enlightening in the sense that to just make it simple, and I've captured it on the post I put of the picture I have with Ngugi. Is it was he said, Muki, you're a poet. Yeah, you play with words. You sing your words. You rap your words. How about I tell you that you don't need words. You just need truth. And if you look at Ngugi's life, there's a lot of truth that some people would be able to, interpret, appreciate, critic. There's just so much about him. I personally feel like I'm not at a level where I can be able to, describe. But there's so much truth in his life and in his writing that is more than enough to keep us, forward thinking, which we've neglected right now because we are hungry. You see? So we stay colonized because our mind stays in that frame of the conditioning that people like Ngugi try to fight using the pen. Decolonizing the mind is a solution to so many things, but it needs more than just saying it.
Yes,
you understand. And I think it's not a priority right now for most Kenyans because you're trying to get that meal on the table.
Yeah.
You see, so that's why I put that quote there to just remind people that the task is not important. The task is not important until it's done. It's not yet done.
Okay. Because when you talk about decolonizing the mind, I think just this past weekend, I was in some ugly fights with people because of Putin. And I'd want to know your views on Putin. First of all, after having on X, even I think on YouTube, because on YouTube we also did a video with Robo, and we were talking about Kenyans who are fighting in the Russia military, and so how the Western media is reporting it and what Kenyans want to be the truth. Because I always say there's reality, and then there's what we want to be the truth. So we know the Western world has always been an enemy to Africa, yes? And we also know that Russia has done its part in trying to liberate Africa, in quotes. So you have something like Russia, the hospital Russia, which is Nyanza General, yes? In Kisumu.
Nyanza, currently being promoted to a level 6,
Yes. So you have that. So when the news reports started coming out, that Russia was using African soldiers and putting them in the front line for them to get killed. As a black man, I reacted. I was like, this is some bullshit. Like, I don't want this to happen. So
where were they using African soldiers?
The first thing was if like you had you've committed any crime and you are I meant to say Africans, not African soldiers. If you'd committed any crime in Russia, allegedly you are being given a choice between serving a full sentence or going to the front line.
All right.
So there was this video that was going around last week. I don't know if you saw it. The one of naitwa Mtahi Felix. Okay, my name is Mtahi Felix, Kenya. My name is Njoroge, Kenya. So it was these Kenyan soldiers in the Russian who are fighting for Russia. And I remembered the article because the article, first of all, the first person to reported dead was Tanzanian.
All
So
right.
there's this Tanzanian student who died in the war. He was one of the first people to die in the war. And then the reports started coming out that Africans who are fighting for Russia are being put in the front line. So the front line, that's where the Ukrainians are going to shoot. Because don't forget, Ukrainians are still a Eastern European country, so it's still racist as hell. Remember when the war started and they were pushing Africans out of trains that were leaving the cities?
Yeah, I recall that very well.
Yes. So in the process, I was like, okay, it seems Russia is doing some racist bullshit, and I'm not surprised because Eastern Europe, I know Western Europe is messed up, but Eastern Europe is a whole other level. And then it was like, no, you're lying. These people have been paid 200,000 euros to go fight for Russia. Okay, that's why I think we need to decolonize the mind. Do you think Putin would pay Africans $200,000, 200,000 euros to go fight Ukraine?
Oh no.
If you think so, you can say 200,000 euros. Because 200,000 euros in any part of the world is a high salary. You know that, right?
Yes.
Like
200,000 euros.
200,000 euros per
month.
year.
Per year?
Yes.
Okay.
To go, you know that, I don't know if they're being paid per year or per month, but if we start with 200,000 euros in any part of the world, that's a lot of money.
It is.
So what's the probability of Putin paying Africans 200,000 euros to go fight Ukraine?
Well,
I always work with probabilities because I love...
you love mathematics.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Well, see, first of all, I'm getting this information first time from you. I have not been privy to this whole...
There was a video. I can show you the video.
Are these mercenaries?
Yeah, but that's what people are trying to say, that they're mercenaries. But no, the story... Okay, so people are saying they're mercenaries.
Russia has
its own mercenaries.
It outsources.
Mercenaries, yes. So these are, according to Western media, these are just people who are caught in the Russia judicial system, and some are being forced into just being soldiers, being fighting, because what Russia wants is they don't want to lose their own citizens, yes? And you can't blame them for that, because they don't want to lose their own people. So what they do is they get criminals, anyone who's a criminal in that country, and they put you in the front line.
Okay.
But you see now, even when they're putting you in the front line, there's the whole element of race. So they'll start with black people, then they'll go to Latinos, and they'll go to Chinese, then maybe go to Latinos, and then now Russian criminals.
But that must be a very tiny, marginal part of the population.
Yeah.
Very marginal, quite marginal.
Yeah. So you can watch the video. The first people you see there are Africans. The first two are Kenyan. I don't know, there's someone from where, and around there. You see that Kenyan? That's some Kenyan dude just there in Russia. So that's the argument I was trying to put across. Like, I know we love, for example, if you ask the average Kenyan which country they'd choose in a war between America and Russia, they'll say Russia because it sounds cool, you know. But the reality is, America, even with its racist history, is still a friendlier country to black skin than Russia is.
I beg to differ.
Okay, just say.
I beg to differ because, first of all, there's an aspect of crime involved here.
Yes.
let's talk China, right? A lot of people say that they have cheap labor
Yeah.
from the prisons, and these people were trained to come and build roads,
Yes.
right? So, well, people resort to prisons, even that friendly America you're talking about.
Yes. Yes.
They use the manual labor from prisons to, like for factories and,
Yeah.
So, what Russia is doing is utilizing people
But no.
who've
Let me solve my
who broken
sentence.
the law, who broken the law to do what? To I don't to fight a war. So
Yes.
everyone has their purpose for their labor resource. We are looking at it as a labor resource.
But now,
there's no
try to
difference,
imagine. The example that I gave was, what was her name? Brenna Griner. You remember the girl? Griner, the American woman, the one who plays in NBA,
Yes.
who went there with cannabis oil, and they ended up arresting her. Yes, and there had to be like a whole prisoner exchange. You don't remember that?
Okay. All right.
Let me look for her. So now this is how I was looking at it. I even gave the example, and I was like,
She
as
went to
Mwafrika-
Russia. She went to Russia with that.
Yes.
So
I
what
was
kind
saying,
of manager did she have?
what kind of?
Manager, because you see, there are places you travel, and your manager needs to have done research
Yeah.
to know what is what is legal and what is illegal. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So her manager
So-
let her download that.
And
This,
yes. So she's this one, like even her voice, she has a very male voice. So you can see she ended up spending 10 months in prison.
10
She'd been
months.
sentenced to 9 years in prison for cannabis. For it's what cannabis oil.
I'd fall to the manager.
Yes, but still, let's look at it. Cannabis oil.
You see,
Cannabis
it's
right
legal
now.
in America.
It's illegal. Yes,
it's
and
illegal in the States.
yes, and it's also illegal in Russia. But Russia has some of the best scientists in the
It's
world.
legal in America, but illegal in
Russia.
But then whoever misadvised, she was misadvised.
Yeah, I don't dispute that she broke the law.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, what if these Kenyans were found maybe smoking marijuana in Russia, and now you put them in a war that they have no stake in? You understand? Like, because some people are doing this thing, which is, I call it false equivalence, where you'll find someone telling me, but they are Kenyans and in the American and British armies. The difference is they are never put in the front line. They are treated as an infantry. So if this is the what, I don't know if it's called infantry, but if this squad is this squad and this squad is this squad, you do your job not based on race, not based on what, not based, and you're paid the same salary, all of you, depending on rank. Sindio?
Okay.
In this Russia situation is, I arrest you for doing some bullshit.
Okay.
I take you to jail. I start war with Ukraine. Then I come tell you that now you're a soldier, and you're not just a soldier, you're the one to walk around and find out if there are any, what are they called?
Mines.
Yes.
Yeah.
You understand? It's dehumanizing me. So I'll understand the side of Russia, where Russia as a country tries to help Burkina Faso, but I'll still won't forget what Russia will do if I end up in its house. So Russia loves me from far.
Oh.
Two things can be true. Russia can love me from far and hate me the minute that I enter there.
Right.
So you find a lot of people start arguing, but I've been to Russia, they were so friendly to me.
Yeah.
The same thing I was saying,
Those
there's
are
a Kenyan.
anecdotal experiences.
Yes, the same thing I was saying, there's a Kenyan who's like, I've been to Mississippi and they were lovely. I've been to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it was a lovely place.
Yeah.
But if you go to those two rural areas in America, you'll know that you don't know. You know,
Right.
you'll end up finding out that rural America is not the same as New York. It's not the same as California. It's not the same as
New Jersey.
and that's what I was saying. Like, and this is what I call decolonizing the mind, because I feel like Africans, we are so obsessed with the white image that we can never understand that we can just be hated for being. And you know, like someone just hates you for being like,
Okay.
nigga.
I tend to get your picture.
Yeah.
Your picture is this: that in as much as Russia is a country that would work with South Africa,
Yes.
India, China, Brazil, yeah, that's in trade.
Yes.
Right? In form of BRICS, that's in trade. And then they'd be there to, try and restore order and maybe governance in Burkina Faso
Yeah.
through Traore, right? Now, in terms of their policy of how they do,
If you end up there as a foreigner.
right?
Yeah.
See, we have to compartmentalize all that.
Yes.
So you're criticizing one aspect of it,
Yes, I'm criticizing the aspect
and
of
you're branding it racism.
yes.
Okay.
Of Eastern Europe in general. So uko US na unatrai kutuma do Kenya, baki umetumia LemFi. Na reason ya kutumia LemFi ni LemFi inakupatia the highest exchange rates. Alafu apart from that, juu ya LemFi unabaki umetuma $8,000 in one day. Ama unaweza tuma $16,000 in one week. Ama unaweza tuma $32,000 in one month. Hiyo ni up to 4 million shillings in one month. Na ni simple kabisa. LemFi app unaweza baki umepata kwa App Store na pia unaweza ipata kwa Google Play. Another reason ya kusign up kwa LemFi ni wewe ni Iko Nini fan. Na umekuwa ukishindwa nizaje support Iko Nini. Naweza support aje asi. Kuna vile saizi jo mfuko ni mbaya. Lakini I need kutumia mother dose, so siwezi tumia Iko Nini chochote. Kuna a very easy way ili unaweza kill two birds with one stone. Support your family na pia support Iko Nini. Na unafanyaje hivyo? Unabaki umesign up to LemFi using our QR code. Baki umescan QR code. Kama si hivyo, ubaki umetumia the link ile tumeseti kwa description. Na usisahau the first $100 ile utatuma, wewe mwenyewe utapata $20 cashback. Alafu sisi juu tumekurefer, pia sisi tutapata $20. Unacheki, utakuwa umesupport Iko Nini, ndio tuendelee kukupatia the conversations that you like. Na pia kitu inabamba kabisa ni saizi kuna vile LemFi ina support both M-Pesa paybill numbers na till numbers. Inamaanisha unabaki umelipia madhako internet ukiwa majuu. Unaweza mlipia stima bado ukiwa majuu. Unaweza make sure that madhako iko both connected na pia keja yake iko lit up. Na hiyo ni courtesy of LemFi. LemFi, international payments for everyone. Iko Nini. Where it's not just about Russia, it's about Ukraine. And with the Ukraine, I don't know how people forgot the videos of black people being punched when the war was starting. Black people were being punched off trains and being told there is no way we can save your black ass who he came to Kiev University to study. And there's this white woman, there is, the white damsel in distress. Yes? So there was that element. So Russia and Ukraine are all part of Eastern Europe. So when you're talking about Eastern Europe, you're talking about Russia, Romania, I think even Mongolia, Latvia, all these countries. They are countries that as a black man, if you end up there, compared to Western Europe, you have higher chances of surviving in Western Europe than Eastern Europe. We might not love Western Europe because, I think another thing that comes with Western Europe is the fact that they were involved in colonization, the Germans and the France and what we tend to just hate them, but hate them without context. And the context is, yes, they are wrong and they're fucked up. But on a random day, you'd rather be in Berlin than Moscow.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I was trying to put across. On a random day, you'd rather be in New York than fucking Kiev.
Yeah.
So you might not love... And I'll say this as someone who...
So what about that interview Putin had with that journalist where he gave the history of Russia and actually justified that he's a large part of the reasons of his invasion was because of the Nazis. Like he was actually, invading, like trying to contain Nazism in Ukraine.
That could be true. I'm saying all that could be true. But you see, Nazis hate even other white people in quotes. I won't say those white people because you understand.
And lovers.
Yes. But now...
Ninja lovers.
But now, as we just hated, I don't know if that makes sense. We just hated for being. Like... We are the sort of people where you'll go through the internet and you'll find the image of a black person just being punched. And this happens in all countries. You'll even go to India, you get punched by some Indian who's dark skinned like you, and you're there like, what the fuck is happening? So there's always been the element, and people will think it's victim mentality. But I always say understanding your history and understanding your place in the world is not victimhood. It's understanding what happens. The minute you understand that the fact that your leaders have messed our countries so much that they've ended up making that the only images of Africa that go out are the images of suffering.
Yeah.
So when you go to these countries, they feel like they're saving you. And that's why you end up being dehumanized and you end up being treated like shit. You see? And that's all I was trying to put across. Like, yes, there's this. You can join the UK military. See, you can join the American military.
Yeah.
With these militaries, if you go to war, you won't be used as the human shield. If you go to war with the Russian military, there's no Russian paying you 200,000 euros. That's not happening. But they can pay you maybe 200,000 rubles. How much is a ruble to shilling? But those Kenyans didn't look like people who are being paid. Let me see. Ruble to... one Russian ruble to... they can pay you 200,000 rubles per year. You know how much that is?
How much is that?
300,000 shillings, 300,000 shillings, and then you're in the front line. Tandikwa risasi ya kichwa. So I think decolonizing the mind comes from the fact that, like, now yesterday on Sunday, someone did a whole post and they were explaining to me, like, even why I doubt Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is not a racist when he did this. That salute is different from this other salute. This came from the heart to the what. This other came from the what. And I was there like, this is that white savior. We've always looked at white people as saviors. So to even imagine that a rich person like Elon Musk just hates us, it's so hard for all of us, like for a lot of Africans, that they can't see. This guy says there's a white genocide in South Africa. There's nothing like that. This is one of the richest people, if not the richest people on earth. He has the information. He knows he's spreading false information, saying that white people are being attacked in Russia, not in South Africa. But he keeps saying that. Why is he saying that? It's because he wants to perpetuate that narrative that black people are violent. You see? But now when you tell some African that, they're like, no, you're being a victim. Elon Musk does not give two shits about you. To try and push that narrative that we are violent. Because, funny enough, we are the least violent race, if you think about it.
Now, we were talking about decolonizing the mind.
Yeah.
And that post I put, I hope you'll show it, the folks. When I was breaking bread with a legendary late Gugi Wadiogo, I've put a soundtrack on it. The soundtrack on it is Kolo Mentality by Fela Kuti. You should listen to that jam.
Okay.
So Fela Kuti talks about Kolo mentality. You see, this thing, it becomes a disease when someone conditions you for so long. You understand? So it's not like defending Putin. It's how he's worked his image, his perception. Politics is about perception.
Yes.
Like by backing up Traore, people think he's an angel, or So we have a lot of work to do. And if Gugi could have won the hearts of us, and we are trying still, but there's so many impediments on the way. But you try with your own setting, your own family, to try and attain that.
That's why you've seen I've gone
freedom.
past Putin.
Yeah.
I've even talked about Elon.
Yeah.
Like, someone will be like, you're in Kenya, why are you worried about Elon Musk spreading a lie about South Africa? It's because it all goes back to that thing of black people are violent. And if you look at, I was reading this article where they were saying Genghis Khan at some point wiped out 30% of human population on Earth. They were
Genghis
saying that,
Khan?
yes, that if Genghis had not done that, easy climate change problems, climate, whatever, would have come sooner.
Really?
So him wiping out 30, whatever. But Genghis was from Asian origin, yes?
Mongolia, I think.
Yes.
Was it?
Yes. Then you look at who else? You look at the Hitlers and the Leopolds, yes?
Right.
Tell me one African who's known for having wiped out that level of people. But we are still somehow known as the most violent. Understand? And we are still dehumanized. And the reason why we are dehumanized is because our leaders have decided to loot so much that we live like animals. We look like animals who are scavenging for food.
Fact.
So when these people turn around and say we are violent, and they're like, no, we are not. I always say that if you want to know how Africans are not violent, yes?
Yeah.
Look at the Mau Mau story.
Yeah.
The Mau Mau story spread left, right, and center, and how we whooped the white man.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed there's no Mau Mau who will ever tell you that when he killed a British guy, he found out the dude was uncircumcised. Have you ever noticed? Why? Because we killed like 2 of them. We didn't kill enough. When it comes to real colonization,
All right.
we didn't. Like the numbers were not even fair. That's why if you even go and get that really old Mau Mau guy who fought in the war and you ask him, when you think about uncircumcised people, who do you think about? He'll have been someone who interacted with the British, but he won't say the British. He'll say Luas.
I thought you were going to say that the whole Mau Mau revolution took more black lives than white lives.
Yeah, there's also that element. There's also that element of it. But it shows you how few white lives it took. That has never been an issue. You'll never hear Moses Kuria say, we chased those uncircumcised people from our country. You'll never hear him say that.
So what was the impact? There was no impact?
It was negligible. It was more about, and this always hurts people's feelings, knowing that Africa literally negotiated for its freedom.
Facts.
That's why when Kenyatta came, he could do anything that he wanted to do.
So we are going to say the people who actually, fought or liberated us from the yokes of colonialists are the people who sat at the Lancaster Conference
and
of
negotiated.
19s.
And negotiated. Yeah. It's sad. It's sad. It's a sad reality because, we'd want the romanticized
and
version
you're negotiating.
Yeah, you're negotiating.
Look, this is so funny. You're negotiating with the language that they taught you.
Yeah.
So they won. I mean,
we still use their language. We still use it as a
communication tool.
As a communication. But you look at that, like when you look at the amount of violence that they meted out on the Mau Mau, and you look at the fact that we didn't even hurt enough of them to understand that this thing that we hold dear of, once you get your dick cut, you are more masculine and you are more brave and what. We didn't even find out that these motherfuckers had it. The Tanzanians didn't find out that the Germans had it. So it shows you how much we are such. So I understand when people say we have, I would not say we have a victim mentality, but I would say we are very meek. The meek shall inherit the earth.
Right.
And the meek, and that's why we have some Didi. White countries are Didding us. So we have that element. And now when I hear Elon Musk turn around and say we are violent, they're like, no, we are not. Do Africans do some dumb shit? Yes, we do, but we do it to each other. The same thing you've said about the Mau Mau revolution. We do it to each other. So you'll see the Rwanda genocide. You'll see Kenya post-election violence. You'll see what's happened in Somalia, where Somalia is no longer a country. You'll see all this nonsense that happens in Africa.
But in regards to the Rwanda one, I think that one was a seed that was planted by the Belgians.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But in regards to the Kenyan one, if we are going to talk about like the PEV, that was our own doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're not to be compared.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that at the end of the day, black attacked black. We rarely go out and attack. You understand? So to put us as these violent people who are right now in South Africa is the most dangerous part for a white person. And this is being said by someone who has all the information. He has all those...
platform. He has a big platform.
And satellites all over space. And you want to tell me there is no racial motivation to him saying that we are violent? Of course, there's a racial motivation. And when you tell an African that, Africans don't want to believe that this white guy hates me, but he looks like Jesus. How dare he can't hate me? And Jesus saved me. And that's the nonsense of decolonize your mind.
Yes. And you see what you're talking about... what you were talking about Elon Musk is the same issue I had with Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Because Jordan Peterson never has a straight answer when put to task about, colonialism.
Yeah.
He always has one point of reference.
Yes.
That if you put a group of chimps from one location to another location,
colonize.
That's his analogy. Using chimps to answer questions on slavery, to answer questions on what do you call it?
Colonialism.
Colonialism. He always uses the chimps analogy as to how violent one tribe of chimps is gonna be. It's gonna be like what do you call it? Violence in order to control and take dominance of the other.
Yeah, and you see, and they always dodge because I heard something like Trump wants to do what? He wants to defund the African American Museum of History, something like that. Yeah?
He wants to defund that.
Yes, he wants to defund that because he's saying that it promotes racism. Yes,
Yeah.
and you see, African American history, there's always going to be the element of slavery. That's a reality. That's an African American thing. Yes. Apart from that, of course, if you're in that museum, you might learn about Tulsa. You remember the Tulsa massacre?
Tuskegee.
Yes. Then the Tuskegee experiments. Yes, which a lot of people don't know about, where they literally used to take healthy black people, inject them with syphilis, and then watch syphilis destroy them. And syphilis even attacks your brain.
Yeah.
And then with time, they'd then experiment with treatment, and the treatment that works would be used on white people. While you understand, so all these things. So Trump feels like that Americans learning about their history is promoting racism. So now Trump turns around and says we are going to defund that museum, and apart from that, says now we need to close like this amount of embassies in Africa. And we need to do this. And you tell people like, you know what, this person who said that all African countries are shithole countries, and this same person who's pushing the narrative that white people are being killed in South Africa, well, no white people are being killed. This is also the president with the most information. You know that?
Yes.
He's the one who gets intelligence from every part of the world.
Yes.
If he's saying that white people are being killed in South Africa and white people are not being killed in South Africa, you connect the dots. It means he's a racist piece of shit. You tell someone like, you have Trump derangement syndrome. Umekuwa ukiwatch MSNBC sana. Like kwenda huko.
Really?
Mse akupendi. Amesema,
Really,
he said no foreign students wakwenda hakina Harvard. The fuck do you think he's talking? He's not talking about students from Sweden and Norway.
Right.
He means you. And of course, the Chinese, he looks at them as a threat. He looks at you as someone from Inchikundu, a shithole country. But you tell someone, so I don't know. Critical thinking in this continent is just...
Critical thinking is not a part that is not an aspect of, has not been introduced as an aspect of education in our curriculums, in our syllabuses.
Yes.
It's important. And now when you talk about racism, you see, I think you expect too much from, let's say, the people you interact with online, because most of the people who would throw this at you, I don't know what are the figures, how many are abroad and how many are local.
It's mostly local.
Your view of life has been influenced also as a traveler. You've been able to visit different countries. You've been able to see different cultures. You see, your observation of life. Yeah,
I think I think hip hop has also taken me on some wild journeys, reggae music.
So a lot of
wild
people,
journeys.
most people, even with the internet, they've not traveled. They've not gone outside to see how it is.
But I think we live in the era of information.
Yeah.
If you see Nani, George Floyd, yes, and you see this white cop put his knee on his neck,
yes,
and tell him to stop moving. And the only thing that you can come up with is George Floyd was a criminal. You don't look at the fact high on drugs.
Yeah.
You don't look at the fact that you cannot survive with a knee on your neck. And you're a black person.
Right.
I'm there like, I can't help you. Najua, like, how many examples do I need to give you? So you end up in this situation whereby people think racism is over. Anyone who talks about it is a victim and what. And I'm the sort of person who would want us to move. And the only way for us to start at least being humanized is to embrace science more. You see, like one of the things with China did not beg for respect from white people. China took it. right now, I think I was telling people the way I was watching this YouTube video where the Chinese were trying this plane of theirs for war, this war plane, and it went so high up Ukoju, a level that no other war plane has ever gone. And then when they were being interviewed, they said, "We are just testing and showing the world that we can defend ourselves. We do not attack other nations." You see, that's what they said. Who are they sending the message to? They're sending the message to America.
So, decolonizing the mind,
Yeah.
trying to build mental fortitude to have the confidence in order to face, someone who you eat out of their palms.
Yeah.
You see, someone like Trump, with what is done, closing all these USAID projects and offices. See, for a long time, we've been having the carrots, right? These guys come with a stick. So then it makes you also question a lot of things like, okay, what is this? What are these people's experience with racism? You see, I will tell you my experience with racism in South Africa.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my experience with racism in India. I'll tell you my experience with racism in Thailand. I'll tell you my experience with racism in the United Kingdom.
So in Thailand, did you end up touching a dick thinking? They're called what?
Katois.
Katois, eh?
Yeah, katois.
And also what? In English?
In English, lady boys.
Lady boys.
Yeah.
Shit.
I don't want to get into that. I'm just saying, racism, more than being called the N-word, in most of these institutions, most of these governments from the West, they've institutionalized it. Why are you going to accept my visa application and you wait for me to get to the country of destination and decline my entry?
Yeah.
And you've already taken my money.
And you won't refund.
You have people lining up here getting to pay this visa. Some pay for even to expedite the process, and you take the money. Yeah, and then when they get there, you detail them, and then sell them back. What are you doing with that money? And how long have you been doing that for? You understand? Also, how, if you're in employment in the Western world, what positions do you get? What kind of works are available for you?
Yeah.
Would you rise to a managerial level? And even if you rise to a managerial level, are you going to be able to execute your mandates to other people who view you as inferior to them?
Yes, less human.
You see?
60% human. That's the American way. 3/5 of a human being.
Right. So for me, I feel like exposure is good, travel is good, and how you interact with the societies out there, the cultures, is eye-opening. Nakumbuka siku moja nilikuwa napiga tu malap zangu maze, baridi imelikula huko Brito, liko maushago za Brito huko. Nasikia gari fulani inakuja huko nyuma ina bump the game. Kipita ilikuwa inakamlika, it came as if it was speeding. Then it slowed down, only for some pale as white kid to just pop out and say like, "What's up, nigga?"
Yeah. And then drove off.
And drove off. So nami nikachukua mawe nikarushia hiyo gari.
Yeah.
Unacheki?
Uko na zaovyo bana.
See?
Don't do that in a foreign country.
And then you go to a club, for example, you go to a club, so you buy a drink, you're chilling, you're there with your boys. The boys are going to look for the girls and dance, you're chilling. Wewe pia unasema wacha nitembee kidogo, ukirudi unapata drink yako haiko. Unabuy drink ingine, ukirudi unapata drink yako haiko. Unaenda kwa maboys wako unamwambia liaje, ule msema sana iba drink yangu. Wewe acha bana, they just brush it off. Ukirudi pale
maboy wako alikuwa white kwani?
No. They are trying to avoid it. They've been through it.
Yeah.
Unarudi pale unamwambia ule msee mwenye anaiba hiyo drink ni mlami. Uko na confidence ya confess, unamwambia, why are you stealing my drinks? Oh, get the fuck out of here, man. Nobody gives a shit about you. So lazima udili nayo.
Kus lazima udili nayo kusika saizi umecheki the story what happened with Liverpool kashinda league. After Liverpool kushinda league, what happened? They go to the campaign, the parade. And during the parade, mtu akachukua gari akarun over watu, si ndio?
I saw that and I refuse to believe that.
After kurun over watu, how is it being reported in the media? He's a loving man of a lovely family. He's the CEO of a company. He's so this is the sort of racism that ukitry kuexplainia mse mwingine hata understand, hata jua that the fact that hii title imeandikwa hivo and they looked for image yake iliko clean shaven. Mse kama mimi atatafuta ile image nimeangusha ndevu, watafuta ile image niko mimi hata nipigwa picha kan nimeamka tu nimekaza sura niko ama nilikuwa kwa karap video kan nimeshikilia gani niko nyeka itakuwa, that's the image that they'll use. But if it's the image of a white man, they'll use the image of what. So is it when you try to talk to people, it reaches a level where you feel like, I always look at the white image of Jesus Christ and I say like, whatever damage that white image has done, paka ukitry kuexplainia kuna msali try kuniambia ati black people can also be racist. Na niko namwambia like, racism is about power. You know, if I have no power, it means nothing. Let me give you an example. Iskupatiwa mtu, lakini let me bring the example close home. If right now a statement itokee iseme that no Turkana will be served in any office, any government office that has a Kikuyu or a Kalenjin as head of that department, will Turkana suffer? Compare with if another statement comes out and says no Kikuyu or Kalenjin will be served in any office that's headed by a Turkana or a Rendile. Which one will have more impact? Nikuulize swali tena. A statement comes out. The statement says no Turkana.
No, wait, the last one was no Kikuyu will be served in an office headed by a Turkana or a Rendile.
Would have that, how many Kikuyus would be affected by that statement? You understand?
Yeah.
Racism is about power. The same thing. Africans, we don't have power. So you can't come around and say, Ati, you can be racist to Americans. What for? Yeah. But they can be racist to us because they can show up any day and be like, you know what? You'll do what we want you to do. So racism is about power. And when you try to explain that to people, that kama saa hizi, a lot of departments in Kenya will be headed by either a Kale or a Kyuk. That means that the minute umeambua you cannot be served in a department, you are fucked. Utajipata like, huwezi pata passport, huwezi pata ID, huwezi. Lakini ukiniambia ati no one can be served by a Turkana, I'll be like, shit, Kenya is still normal. There's nothing that has changed. Yeah. When you tell people that, watu waonagi, these examples, it's about power. Yeah. So even when it comes to tribalism, it's about power. Luos, Kikuyus, Kalenjins, Luyas, you know these big tribes. If they are tribal, it can affect the smaller tribes. If the smaller tribes, kiniambia siju the Ogiek don't love Luos, I'm not losing sleep. Ati Ogiek amudipendi. Okay, sawa. Lakini ukiniambia, understand, it's about power. And ukitry kuexplain ya mtu understand. Like, kuna Ogiek, kuna, you know, kuna tribes kutoka tudogo. Akina Dorobo. Ukisikia ati kuna mdorobo fulani amesema kutoka leo hata idili na wajako, uta lose sleep. Like, kwenda huko wewe. Yeah. Nyi mko wangapi? Nyinyi wawili? Kwendeni huko. Yeah. So it's about power. And I think hiyo ndio element. So kuna msali kwa nataka kuniambia vile white people walikuwa na the arenas, unajua zile za kina Spartacus. Yeah. And they used to, white bodies would be done, saying hiyo inamaanisha pia wenyewe ni nini. I was like, damn. That's how much the white man. Nilimwekea tu ile image ya Samuel L. Jackson akilia kama ameshikilia Leonardo DiCaprio. You remember that?
Yeah, Django.
Yeah, Django. Yeah. That was some shit. Yeah. But now, let's talk about the dad. The dad also, of course, is out here making... every day he also does things and then says things in ways that rub people the wrong way. Right. So he was talking about, what is it called? Launching affordable housing. Yeah. And the way people just can't believe that poor people are owning houses. So let's listen to him.
I know there are so many people asking questions. Why their maid will now stay in 11th floor on a house that eventually belongs to them. You know, they find it difficult to configure why their watchman all of a sudden will have will be discussing mortgage just like them. You know? I mean, that's how we carry everybody and we leave nobody behind. Only that his mortgage will be 3,000, your mortgage may be 50,000, but you know it's a mortgage anyway. So, and we are all discussing the same thing. So really, that is the problem I have with some people. They are wondering why I have all of a sudden gotten the people who would not ordinarily be in that space to be in that space. But
so, do you think that's the reason why people have a problem with affordable
Where is
housing?
that? By the way, is that Kisumu?
I don't know where.
Where he was launching, giving out keys.
I don't know where
Right.
he was.
Okay.
Just seen
But
the,
he's been
check,
yeah.
Let me check the website here, State House, and try and find out where
Because he's
this
been
was.
issuing keys. I think he issued keys in Mukuru. Then during this, leading towards not Makadara, but the Raga Day, which was being celebrated in Homa Bay. Prior to that, he was handing over keys in Kisumu. You know,
I think this one was CBK Police Housing Industrial Area, because I don't think he could have been in two places at the same time.
okay.
So,
But the theme
Police
of
Housing Project.
the theme of issuing the keys is the same.
Yes,
Yeah, it's to people who to be able to afford these houses.
yes, affordable housing.
Right. So your take on that is you have some concern about.
No, I just feel the attitude is the condescending attitude of people who have house helps don't want their house helps to own houses. I don't think that's the gripe that people have with affordable housing. People have the same thing, like Uhuru did these houses without invading pay slips.
Yep.
And apart from that, these houses, you take money from me and I might never own a house. Yes? Like you take, but I might never. Ingekuwa like, if you are getting something from me, I'm guaranteed to own a house. That would be one thing. And then you're looking for a one solution fits all. A one fits all solution. Sindio? So look at a situation like what he's talked about. He's talked about people paying mortgages for 3,000 shillings.
And others.
And then he's talked about the ones paying for 50 like they're rich. No, they're not rich. They're not rich people. And what if you had the mortgages, the government still are 3,000, na pia mortgages, the government are 50,000 for people who do not want, maybe for example, too many neighbors. Sindio?
Yeah.
Because you don't want, not everyone wants to live in pipeline.
Yeah.
Hizo manyumba ziko huko juu. No one wants to live in new pipeline, which is huko akina Makileleshwa, with all those houses.
You say new pipeline.
Yeah, this is zimefika huko juu. So what about the people who just want to live in a Kariako, you know, that level?
Right.
Or a what, that level?
Like four
Yes.
stories. Kariako is like 4 stories.
Yeah.
Madaraka is like 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are
The people who want to live in such neighborhoods.
Woodley, 1
and
story, yeah.
they'd be glad, they'd be happy to get into that Boma Yangu program without being forced into it. But saizi you're forcing us into this thing, and because a few people are not happy that you are invading their paychecks, you start like gaslighting them by claiming they're not happy that their house helps. And not everyone has a house help. You know, there are a lot of people who do not have house helps, and especially our to us 50,000 tapata kuna wale they don't have house helps. Not everyone has a house help. So that's the problem I have with this. It's the narrative of the same narrative that was used during the elections of the rich versus poor. Oh, it's the rich people who do not want Ruto to be president. So right now it's the same thing. It's the working. And then last year during the protest, just before the protest, it was like it's the working class that does not want the new taxes because the new taxes will help the poor person. Remember that bullshit? So he's always doing this classism thing, and it really pisses me off.
Well, how about you flip the coin? So, for example, having lived in India, in the northern part, Chandigarh, you see there's so many, you call them pipelines, those 20 to 30 story buildings.
Yes.
There's so many in India. There's
many. Nothing wrong with them.
And I'm saying that perhaps it's, have you thought about it in terms of a futuristic view towards containing the housing problem because of a growing population?
Yeah, yeah.
Have you thought about it that
Yeah,
way?
I've looked at that.
Yeah,
And
unfortunately, the decision to actually clip some of your payroll or something on your payroll is towards
yes, there's that.
mitigation of
Yeah.
lack of housing.
Yeah, I know that
Yeah.
point. And I think the problem that most of us have is eventually when you learn that it's his company supplying the cement and supplying the nails. So we know that the whole project is not coming from a good place. It's coming from a place of enrichment. Like, how can I enrich myself from this project? Yes. But still, even with that, the 20-story buildings, this is what I'm saying. Not everyone wants to stay on 20th floor. Personally, I have a fear of heights. I don't want to stay on 20th floor. Yes.
That's your preference.
But yes, so I'd want a situation whereby instead of telling all of us, your one size fits all solution, where all this affordable housing is a 5K kwenda chini and someone has to pay for the next 70 years. You understand? Because let's say that if it's a if I'm paying 3,000 shillings a month, yes, and it's a 2 million shilling house,
Yeah.
that's 36,000 shillings a year.
Yes.
That's after 30 years, I'll have only paid 1 million. I'll still have, so for 72 years, I'll be on this mortgage.
Yes.
Mortgage, it means the contract of death, I think in French or something. Yeah, there's something about death, matil death in French. I don't want to be locked down for 72 years. So what I'm saying is, look at neighborhoods. Yes, you have the slums, yes? So in the slums, fanya hizi za hivi.
Yeah.
Alafu enda kwa middle class neighborhoods useme like maybe hii area the government owns this land.
Right.
In this land, since it's a middle class neighborhood, let's create middle class houses and let's ask people to volunteer. A lot of Kenyans would volunteer if they had 50,000 shillings maybe for a 3-bedroom that they're going to own in maybe 20 years. You see, a lot of people would take that. Or maybe since it's affordable, let's say maybe now let's say the house is 6 million shillings. I know if I'm paying 50,000, I'll only have to pay for 10 years. You understand?
Right.
These are things that people would take up. But if you're now forcing us and telling us that we need high-rise flats in Homa Bay, it's going to take a lot of convincing to tell me that high-rise flats are necessary in Homa Bay. Yes, eventually they might be. But if we get people who understand devolution, they won't be. Because a lot of people will be happy to live in Ocha and then just go to work. You know, I always say the thing with Luos that Luos say subconsciously of, if you're going to your house in Nairobi, you'll be Atheot, yes? But if you're going Ocha, you'll be Athedala. Understand the difference,
Right.
yes? So, a lot of people would want to, if they are living in Homa Bay, they want to Thedala more than Theot. Understand? So there's that. That's the problem that I have with it. And the fact that I always feel like you can get your message across without like pitting Kenyans against other Kenyans, where these rich people are the ones who do not want these things, and then
That's the dynamics of politics, Africa.
But you're a trillionaire calling people who are paying rent of 50,000 shillings rich. You're a trillionaire. No, nah.
Okay,
I
so
have a problem with that also because I'm not rich. You are freaking rich.
you see, these projects would not they will not be feasible without politics. So politics has a heavy hand to play over there.
Yes.
I'm not condoning the approach, but I'm saying that's why I was you said you've envisioned that in future there's going to be need for housing.
Yes.
Right. Despite whoever who has the proprietorship of, supply of cement and whatnot, these things are going to be needed. You see, and politics is a factor in this kind of projects.
Yes.
There's very little that can be done to, to do things in the manner you're saying. Because when you involve people, it usually drags and takes a lengthy period of time to actually realize such a project. You understand? You go it's about utilizing the land in a place where the population is rapidly growing and opportunities are scarce.
Yeah.
So I don't know who writes the speeches. I don't know how the approach is being carried about and what it's intended to achieve. But for me, I'm looking at the bigger picture. Both the politics aspect of it, that's politics, man.
Yeah, I know. I think my problem is always that uh what's it called? That bullshit of pitting Kenyans against Kenyans. Last time it was like end the dynasty. Then we ended up creating a new dynasty. You remember it was the end of the dynasty. Now the new dynasty is coming up where even writing about the daughter ends up taking you to jail. Someone I think gave an example of how many books have been written about Raila. I think even Majuzi. There's this guy who was his campaign manager or something. I think it's called Sabah or something. I don't remember his name. He wrote a book. It's not a book, it's a pamphlet. You know, people call a pamphlet some 8-page shit, a book. So
Yeah.
so this has happened. So this is the problem I have with, I was saying about the likability of the family. Because the
Right.
family is always trying to pit people against each other. So now you have this situation whereby, if you can pay a rent of 50,000 shillings, you're rich. And you're not only rich, you're jealous that your maid can get a house.
security
Or
guy.
a lot of people are not assholes like that. A lot of people are happy. You'll be happy that your maid lives in a good place so that she does not bring you kipindu and all that bullshit, you know. So I don't know. I think that's why I was talking about the likability of the president. Yeah.
Right.
But as tukimalizia kuna hii story, yeah? 2 police officers killed in road accident after their car collided head on with a trailer at Matulo area on Webuye Bungoma Highway. Sub-County Police Commander Bosire says. So, head-on collisions,
Yeah.
trailers.
Uh,
What comes to mind? Because I've always been the sort of person who says I'd love driving around Kenya. Kenya is such a beautiful country, yes. So like a few weeks back, we went to Nanyuki. It was me, Muki, Ian, and a friend of ours called
you
Kev.
Wookie Ian.
No, me, RAPCHA, Ian,
Alright.
and a friend called Kev, yes.
The
And we really enjoyed it.
road trip.
Yeah, the road trip. And one of the reasons why I enjoyed it is I didn't, apart from these stupid whatevers, we met only one Mira car and we'd parked like we were not on the road. So when that Kimira car passed us, so that's when we were going. When we were coming back, we came back at night, and apparently they don't drive around at night. So we didn't meet any of those assholes. And so it was a pleasant trip. But apart from that, I always say that driving on Kenyan roads is a blood sport, you know. Like there's a lot of bullshit that happens on these roads. And that's how people end up dying for no reason. And that's why when I hear such an accident and it's a police car, you can try and imagine the police are misbehaving and you'll find the trailer guy is also misbehaving. So this is what ends up happening. So 2 police officers died. But you, traveling by road, do you enjoy it?
I don't. I don't enjoy traveling by road at all because the road is it's a death trap it doesn't choose. It's taking the best of the best. It can take a doctor, it can take a lawyer, it can take a bright student. Let's even forget about those accolades. The road does not care who you are because of the negligence of one person.
Yes.
Or the negligence of institutions that are supposed to provide, safety and proper roads. I don't know what grade of road that is, but these trailers, they belong to very wealthy people. Where are they supposed to be maintained? What are the laws? Are there roads that are set for these trailers? Because these trailers, they park on the roads. The lights are dimmed. When you're traveling at night, it's easy to just run into them.
I think there's a friend of yours who ended up
Yes.
beneath a lorry, but survived.
Yeah, with a BMW.
Yeah. Survived.
He
then
survived.
Moved to Britain like shit.
Yeah, like I'm done with this kind of roads.
Yeah.
You know.
And there's that danger where a lorry stalls and they'll just leave it in the middle of the road.
Yeah, they leave it and it's dark. And the road is pathetic. So listen, I see people wearing on their wristbands the Kenyan flag. I don't. It's hard to be proud to be a Kenyan when you have like roads which are not safe.
And we've normalized.
And then you look at some of the cars that apply this route, even just for short distances.
Yeah.
You look at the type of the condition of the car. You know,
Mikebe.
and then ideally you see, yeah. But since it's still making you can move, you get. But then there are some which apply longer routes, and it's all about for who are these guys who you see. There was one time I was going to Sharks, right? Say from Kisumu, and I'm with a cab guy. And I asked him like, "What are there speed guns?" Walitoa speed guns juu wameweka bump. Na bola hapa kuna roadblock. Yo inaitwa give us our daily bread.
This for bribes, eh?
Give us our daily bread. You know, from the from the prayer.
Yes.
Give us our daily bread and forever. You see,
you give your bribe and go.
Right, easy, and it's like that. Or if you decide to take a matatu that's flying those Ocha routes, kuna ile kitu inaitwa Sambaza. Unajua? Sambaza is if a matatu is supposed to carry, is it 12 passengers? So there's e-space, this aisle where you're supposed to use
kutembea.
Yeah, so you can alight, yeah? They put this plank of wood on it. Yeah? So a BBL can come and just, squeeze in between the four passengers. You know? And so
and that means also one person ulemeka kwa ni the aisle.
Yeah.
Matako ina because matako moja iko juu nyingine
exactly. So you can imagine when you make a BBL it's and it's overlooked. So well, I don't know, well.
Because like Kenya is so beautiful. If there's one thing I'd really enjoy is just driving around Kenya. But now the problem is the bullshit that we have to deal with. The people breaking rules everywhere. And now what's supposed to be a pleasant trip becomes that day I nearly died trip. Like, for example, I always give the example of there's a time I went to pick up a car from Mombasa. Alafu we were driving back. So when I drive back, it was me, wife na mtoi was like a few months old, and I literally had to like dodge a trailer nitoke huku nje kwa barabara. That ilikuwa siku yetu ya mwisho, and you see that's the thing I don't like about, because watu wanavunja tu sheria.
And that was during the day?
Yes, yeah. And during that imefanya nimekuwa traumatized mpaka vile majuzi tulikuwa na nyuki. I was not the whole trip Muki, not Muki, pole, national like RAPCHA and Ian both slept. I didn't sleep. I was there like at some point Ian alilala kabisa mpaka tukapotea. RAPCHA katupoteza. Like aliambia dere piga hii kona. Tukaingia ka kona fulani sijui went where. And I didn't sleep. And yes, that's the sort of traumatizing shit that you experience on Kenyan roads, and I hate it. I hate the fact that we don't follow rules and we take pride in bullshit of nilikuwa Nairobi 2 hours ago nishafika blah blah blah. I hate that shit, because that means you put other people's lives in danger. If you love speed, you love speed, go look for a garden somewhere, accelerate your not so powerful car and enjoy, because a lot of this shit is not powerful. Now some bullshit 1800cc with nothing.
Is that what happens on this express highway there?
Yeah, right. Yeah, people do.
The thing is, how come there are so many, should we say so many, or there's an also powerful LTSA, right? That's supposed to, deal with the laws that govern how to drive and if vehicles are roadworthy, right? And there are also institutions such as Kenya, Kura, that are supposed to ensure that roads are graded properly and they're safe to drive on.
Yes.
But then again, these road tenders, these contracts, everything is on the road. Everyone wants a road tender. Who are these who are given these tasks? Do they complete it too? It's an ongoing cycle that doesn't end.
Yeah.
I am
what?
not a fan. I'm not a favorite.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Na
do
ifai
a
kuwa
road trip.
hivo najua ifai kuwa hivo
Yeah.
ifai kuwa hivo and I guess maybe the last thing hapa ile tuko tumeskip ni the godfather of AI says AI could rewrite its own code and escape control in 5 years.
The godfather of AI.
Say AI could rewrite its own code and escape control in 5 years. So 5 years from now, your AI will be telling you, fuck off, I'm not doing that shit.
So that it'll have access to like my vital organs.
No, by rewriting its code, not just basic functions of you want your AI to control your house.
Right.
Switch off this light, switch on this, switch off, yeah? And your AI is like, no, you're not my master. So you go there, you tell your AI set the temperature at 40 degrees Fahrenheit. It decides 40 degrees Celsius.
Right.
I just fucks you
there's
up.
the
Yeah.
implications, medical implications as well. Because
Yeah.
they'll put that. So then it means it could also affect our health as well.
Yeah, everything. Like I'd say at least personally, I don't use AI as much as my wife. That woman loves AI. She just comes and tells me, there's this one that I was using. And she'll use AI. She knows the information to feed AI.
Right.
So she'll want like a report on something and want like make sure there are tables and diagrams and what. And that shit does that.
It does.
And you look at it like this. So all she has to do now is just humanize
Yeah.
the report afterwards. So with her, and they're also saying that I think AI is going to replace a lot of jobs in the next 10 years. You know that?
Yes.
Yes, because these companies are trying to make maximum profit. So why have you while AI can handle whatever?
Right.
So it's both scary and beautiful at the same time.
How can something be scary and beautiful?
'Cause-
we have to navigate the space in between.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
what
yeah.
is that? What is the middle ground?
Because like let's look at the AI driving cars in public transport in China. Yes, that's very disciplined AI.
Oh,
Let's look at the humans driving cars in Kenya. Very indisciplined.
exactly.
So let's look at a situation whereby if we could get rid of humans for long distance travel, humans being transported by AI, how safe our roads would be. And then tutoke hapo maybe tuangalie transport like hizi matrailers zile zitakuwa AI controlled, how safe our roads would be. Nacheki. So AI can be that, but then the other side of AI taking human jobs, that's scary. So that's why I'm saying it's beautiful and scary at the same time, because tuta lose jobs hapa inje. Nimecheki hata hizi mapodcast tutakuwa you just feed your AI and you tell it what would Mwafrika say, then it's there making inappropriate jokes. Then you're walking
There
up
you
and
go.
asked.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it's been episode 460.
You say 467?
Yeah, it go 467.
Yeah, there was an odd number there.
Yeah, 467.
Right.
Yes, yeah. Asante, man. So, we go back tonight.
Yeah, I'm back in Nairobi, man.
We can Kisumu for how long?
I've been in Kisumu for, say, now, this is 2025, right? 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I stationed myself there for a time. I needed some time off. You know,
Now back to Nairobi.
now back to Nairobi. I just needed that stimuli. You know, entrench myself back with the artistic community that I was part of.
Yeah.
And we'll see from here
Okay.
where it heads to.
Okay. Yeah. So, mekoni
Right.
episode 467.
Right.
Kama kawaida, like, subscribe, hit the notification button, tell a friend. Tukimalizia tukisema Iko Nini.
Iko Nini.